Because something that also happened to me in the beginning, because of this cultural shock of being in a culture is more distant, more cold, less affectionate. I was feeling sometimes a little bit bad. I was feeling sometimes a bit lonely. I was feeling a little bit like I was not belonging here. Like why if I go out, some friends treat me like that? Why I feel like I'm not in my place, and that was something normal as part of the process. Um, so I guess I had to adapt and change in order to survive. If I wouldn't accept it, if I wouldn't have changed, perhaps I was not here. I would not here at this day. But yeah, I feel like I had to adapt to feel better, to survive, and to do what I'm doing right now. It's part of the process, and I'm actually very thankful for that. And something I explain to my friends a lot is that I believe I'm trying to make a balance between that emotional part, because I also believe Latinos we're a little bit too emotional. So that leads sometimes in relationships to too much drama. I don't know if you've lived that, if you've been there, but the fact that we are that emotional creates a lot of, how to put it, like perhaps a lot of issues in many ways. Like perhaps we're more jealous, we're more possessive, and sometimes we say or do things following our emotions. But here is more people behave in a more rational way. So they don't use emotions too much to conduct their behaviors. They behave more in a pragmatic way, and that's something I like. So it's something I like to explain to my friends. Like I feel very lucky because I think I'm mixing both types. I kind of learn to manage my emotions in a better way, in a way that they do not affect me that much. Rather than that, I've learned to do things in a more logical, pragmatic way, and that has worked for me in many ways in my relationships, in my work, professionally, in my daily life. That's something good. I have older friends, also Venezuelan friends, who have lived in China for several years, but perhaps their personality or the way they do is a different way. So I can feel like for them it's easier to get affected by circumstances, like local things here that might affect them in a different way. So I try to, give some advices to try to minimize this effect that it could have. But I think you should be more use more the common sense and the logic. Try to adapt more to where you are, rather than let your feelings and your emotions lead your actions.
It's kind of the process of living in China has evened you out a little bit. You've kind of found a common ground between the two cultures.
Yeah, I would say I'm in that place right now, and I feel that that works good because I'm not too much of any side. I'm still Latino. I'm still enjoy dancing, hugging, spending time with my friends. But for us, that's is a big thing. Like socializing, parties, going out. It's a big portion of our culture. Right now, I see that I don't need that much of that. I need more of hard working, which is something very Chinese people here in China love to work. Like this is they believe that is the main purpose of your life. I will say that. So the main purpose of your life is study, graduate, find a job, make money, save money, buy a house. That's the end of the story. Here, buying a house is the top goal. Once you buy a house, if you can buy two houses, if you can buy three houses, even better. But at least one house, and that's the main purpose. And it's so different, it's so crazy when I was meeting like younger people, and I was asking them like, what do you like to do? Like I would expect something like, oh, I like to travel, I like to go to places, I would like to, I don't know, buy a computer or a car. These are like small goals that maybe young generations might have. Or right now, I don't know, maybe be famous. But here, that's not the goal. That's not the dream. Here, the dream is buy a house. So since they're very young, they get educated in a way like you need to work hard. If you can have two jobs, even better. If you can do overtime, even better, because that means more money. Then you save money and you buy a house. So here's some people like it's normal perhaps in young people, like they usually have work 5 days, 2 days off. They might find like a part-time job during those days off to make extra money,
Wow.
so they
Okay.
can save faster and they can buy a house faster. So that hard work part, I've tried to absorb it a little bit somehow. Not at that limit, not to like just work is my main purpose, but I believe now that hard work is a virtue, is something that you should do. Like, yes, you should rest. It's all about balance, but I've know like I need to acknowledge that Latinos, we're more chill, we're more relaxed. When it comes to work, and it's like, uh, perhaps we like to be kind of optimistic. Oh, I lost my job. It's okay. I'll find another job. Or, oh, you're getting late. You're going late to work. It's okay. Don't worry. It's not a big deal. Or you're going late for your date, or you meet your friends. It's like 5 minutes late, 10, 30 minutes late, 1 hour late. It's okay. Don't worry. Latinos were more chill. I think that is not right at this point of my life, and I've learned that here. I feel like I'm more adapted now to the way Chinese people do things, and one of the reasons isn't just the fact that I'm living here, but I also look back the way things work, not just in Venezuela. I think in Latin America. I think when it comes to affection and love, is great. I mean, I love my background and my culture and my family. But I do believe that in general, people should try harder to do better. That's my conception. It's not anything against the way or the culture or anything, but I do believe, and it's something I tell my friends and my family a lot. I think people should try harder, like small things, like the fact that you will be late for an appointment. People tend to take it very chill, very casual, and people laugh about it like it's something, but it's something really important. The fact that you might be late for an appointment, you say a time that you set with your friends, or like a meeting. If you be late, you and it's really funny because we take it very casually. We're like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm late. Like, it's not a big deal, but it certainly is. And now I realize that, because before I was like that. And now when I have an appointment, when I travel back to my country, or I have a lot of friends live in Spain, my two brothers, they live in Barcelona. So I travel there quite often to hang out with them. And I know they will be late. So what I do is just I set our appointment for, let's say we're gonna meet at 3. I know that we'll arrive at 3:30. So I said the appointment is, I tell them just 3, but I know in my mind it's 3:30. So I'll be there. And even though I arrived 30 minutes late, they're still not there yet. So it's like, it's a crazy thing. So this is just perhaps minor things, but it's part of a way to illustrate the differences between the two cultures and the way we do things. And other than that, food, I've completely changed my food habits as well. I think people here eat way healthier. I'm trying to not eat any kind of processed food. For them, like cereals, cookies, cakes, sugar in general is something that's not part of their food habits. And I find that wonderful. Actually, this morning I was talking to one of my best friends. He also lives in Spain. And I sent him a picture of my breakfast, because usually what I have for breakfast is all like steamed food, like some steamed veggies and maybe one egg, maybe one sausage. That's it. And he was like, "Oh, I just have a bowl of cereal with milk." I said, "Yeah, that's okay. I mean, if you enjoy it, but I just tell him the cons that he might have to eat something like that for breakfast, how it affects your mood later. It's all connected." I also drink perhaps less coffee and more tea. Before I was all about cold ice water. Now I am drinking more hot water, because people here drink a lot of hot water. And even though, like, for example, when you feel sick, they try to avoid the first thing, the medicine, the Western medicine, like a pill or something like that, like a painkiller. I'm trying to up that way. Their medicine, the Chinese medicine, is slower and less doses. Like, it's not that aggressive as Western medicine. So I'm trying to do it that way as well. Like, usually if you have a headache here, people say, "Oh, drink hot water." Like, here, hot water is something they like to recommend for every single thing. If you feel tired, if you feel sick, hot water is like a miracle thing for them. So I think I've heard that so much that I'm drinking more and more hot water. Actually, I have like my cup that I take with me everywhere. Like, people might think, "Oh, I have coffee there. Sometimes I do have coffee. I still have, like, I'm drinking coffee right now in the morning. I need coffee. But later I just switch to a tea or just hot water and drinking throughout the day. That has a lot of benefits that Chinese medicine explains, like through your body and then the way you split your energy throughout the day. There's a lot of explanations about it. But in that way, I've also kind of absorbed a little bit of their habits and their culture. And it's been beneficial, to be honest, especially when it comes to food, like less processed food and more natural, organic food, perhaps. I think I've seen some changes and some benefits in my body, my mood, the way I have energy throughout the day. All these things I think it's so beneficial. And I think it's the reason it's part I'm living here in China.
I mean, that's cool that you've adapted so much to the point where you're like basically Chinese, or like leading a Chinese lifestyle. You mentioned earlier that like cultural integration depends a lot on the personality of the individual, and how some people are more adaptable than others, or they're more eager to accept changes, or they're maybe a little bit more flexible, just like in their personality or whatever that might be. I do think that plays a really big role. Like if they're like moving to another country will always have changes, but if you're motivated to accept those changes and just kind of roll with them, then you can adapt. If you don't have that kind of personality, or you can't adapt like on a personality like that, like if you can't kind of change, if that's not your default position, you're going to have a really hard time adapting to, I think, any culture, let alone a culture that's like, so different, like in China. It takes a lot of self-reflection to know what you're bringing with you from your own cultural bias. Like we all have our own bias, and when you live within your culture, you don't see it. It's like the fish doesn't see the water. This is just normal. This is just what it means to be human, right? And then you go to another country and you're like, oh, everyone does things differently. I took a lot of this stuff for granted. So it's cool that you're adaptable like that. And I can see that it's helped you a lot having that personality type, as opposed to saying, oh, I'm not going to do this. This isn't for me. That's not a part of my culture. I'm not going to partake in it. You can't go very far with that attitude, right?
Yeah, correctly. As I say, I have a few friends that I've met in the beginning. Like when I first came here, we were a group of a few friends, like 8 or 10 friends. We have a lot of common backgrounds. We all speak Spanish from different countries. Recently moved to China. And up to now, from that group of 8 or 10 people, I'm the only one who's still here. All of them already left for different reasons, not precisely because they couldn't adapt to the culture. But some of them were in that position where they were having a tough time at work, or when they were going outside and they were traveling. There was always a lot of complaining, a lot of friction between the way they do things and the way they were seeing people do things here. So yeah, personality is a big thing. That adaptability depends a lot on your take on it. Like if you're willing to accept and understand people do things in a different way. And China requires a lot of that. Perhaps in other countries, when things work in a different way, it could be easier, but China, it's challenging in every single way when it comes to food, languages, culture. The system here works in a different way.